Almost all college students are from village, but their campus are in city. So, as a student college, we can compare and contrast city life and village life. We are from group 2, want to tell you about living in the city versus living in the village. My name is Alya Faradila and I want to tell you some difference about village food and city food. In village, there are a little kind of food. Just find a traditional food in this village. If we want to try special food from another city, we must go to the mall or restaurant. And sometimes it's very far from my house. But in city, we can meet many kind of food such as Padang, Bali, and Javanese food. We can also find Chinese restaurant, Koreans, Italy, and many other. We can see in the mall, festival, or just in mini market. Number 2, the way to cook. In village, many of restaurants are cook the food with traditional method, with tungku, banana leaf, bamboo, and many other. Because in village, many of these material are found. It makes the food more delicious. But in city, just a little using traditional cookware, and many of restaurants using a modern cookware like an electric stove. Number 3, in city, we can find fast food restaurants so easy, right? Such as KFC, Rich's Factory, McDonald's, and many other. And this restaurant in near distance between one restaurant and other restaurant. But in village, sometimes so difficult to find fast food restaurant. Such as in my village, you cannot find fast food restaurant. And the last, payment method. In village, we must pay with cash money. It's very rarely to pay with e-money or credit card. But in city, we can choose many payment methods like e-money, credit card, or with cash money.
There are difference between facilities in the village and facilities in the city. The first is health facility. In the city, there are many hospitals, there are many doctors. So when you get sick, you just go to the doctor or go to the hospital. But when you are in the village, the number of the hospital and doctor are not as much as in the city. And then about education, when you are in the city, schools, there are many schools and many teachers. But when you are in the village, the number of schools and the number of teachers are not as much as in the city. And then when you want to get something, when you are in the city, it is easy to get what you want because in the city everything is available and the access to get what you want, to get the thing what you want is easy. And then when you are in the village, when you want something, when you want to get something, it is hard to get what you want because in the village everything is limited and the access to get what you want is hard. And then when you want to playing online games or browsing, when you are in the village, it is hard to get that because the provider signal is bad and the internet is still rare. There are also villages that electricity is still unavailable. But when you want to play online games or browsing in the city, you can get that easily because provider signal is good and the internet is everywhere.
Okay, the next comparison point between living in city and living in village is the price. You know that when we buy snacks or foods or drinks in the mini market, almost all the things in the mini market are more expensive than the things that we buy in the some markets in the village. And beside that, almost all the clothes that are sold in the city are more expensive than the clothes that are sold in the village. Also, when we buy some land area in the city, that land area in the city is more expensive than when we buy land area in the village. But not all the things in the city are always more expensive than the things in the village. Like when we buy gasoline in the SPBU in the city, the gasoline is cheaper than when we buy gasoline in the village.
Okay then, you will have a different lifestyle when you live in the village and when you live in the city. In the city, there are a lot of people who just came to work, and after they finish with their job, they come back to their house and they rest and work for another days. And that behavior made sometimes people who live in a city didn't have much time to socialize with their environment, to meet with their neighbor, to talk with them, and that made them sometimes had an individual's character. Meanwhile, people in the village, they had a strong relationship with their neighborhood, with their neighbor, with their environment, with their family, because usually people live with their great family in the village. You know, people in the village, they're still keeping the tradition of mutual cooperation. So they're still sharing some food or help or things to the people, to their neighbor who need that things. And that things, those mutual cooperation, that made them had more strong relationship. They care. They more cares about their environment with the others. And I think that's the basic difference of the lifestyle when you live in the village and when you live in the city.
For the last part, I'll tell you about the differences of transportation between village and city. The first difference is that mostly the transportation in city are using machine, such as cars, motorcycle, or train. On the other hand, the transportation in village are mostly using human or animal power, such as pedicab, delman, or bicycle. The other differences is that due to a lot of people are living in the city, which causing a really bad traffic jam during the work hours. So if you're living in a city, you'll probably getting used with spending a lot of time on the road rather than in your workplace or even your home. Meanwhile, in the village, the population is much fewer, so that's why the traffic jam is rarely to be found here. You're also free to go wherever you go, without even worrying for being late. And the last but not least, the transportation in city is much more than in the village. And that's why people in the city is much easier to getting around everywhere they want than people in the village. Maybe that's all from our group. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay healthy.